fucking yo. Last time I was here, this was not filled to the brim like this.
That's nature.
We're gonna be talking about nature today, boys. The birds and the bees, the flies and the shit. Could those bitches shut the fuck up? It's quite the beautiful day. There's a bunch of foliage here. I think that's the perfect spot. Hold on, let me sit down, make sure this shit is... Yeah. Spot is fit for a king. Check out these motherfucking berries. Dare me to eat this? I'll eat this. I'll seriously eat this. It's like a little spicy. I'm not swallowing that. Oh. I just got an allergic reaction. Okay, whatever. Let's get to the video. If I get any comments, why is he so sweaty? Why is he so sweaty? I'm a fucking man with high testosterone, so I have a lot of hair, and I'm in the sun right now. So yeah, I'm gonna fucking sweat. I'm not a fucking estrogenic male who has no... A lot of fucking insects here. There's like, just look at the view. Just look at the view. There's a lot of insects here. Okay. I'm in the wilderness. I love women. And yeah, we need them, but they're not doing the best right now. And it's mostly their fault. To unwrap this and further understand why they aren't held accountable for their mistakes, we have to understand their psyche. Realistically, we need both genders to propagate human life, although there are growing fringe sections of our society that simply hate on the opposing gender. The NPC issue, where people lack critical thinking and discernment, affects all of humanity, most notably with things like celebrity worship, particularly to young impressionable minds. But this extends to anybody with a semblance of influence, and I'll get back to this later. Things like the gender war are not only contrived methods of distraction from real issues, but their goal is to condition people with certain lines of thought, with the ultimate goal being depopulation, and one method is to demonize and leave average men without options, depressed and lonely. One might put the blame on average men, but average men are a key facet of our society, responsible for infrastructure, engineering, etc. And women have an equally important role, to bear the children and raise the next generation with a man. Yeah, the demonized part of society for no real reason besides patriarchy. You know why patriarchy is so important? Patriarchy refers to male dominance in a relationship, where men control and dominate a relationship. Remove a male from the standard patriarchal home. Statistically, children who grew up in single mother households are 5 times more prone to self-deletion, 14 more times likely to commit rape, 20 times more likely to end up in prison, and 32 times more likely to run away from home. Now, I'm not saying that people who grew up with single mothers are guaranteed to exhibit these behaviors, but the statistics are evidently jarring. The social contract in the 1960s was, you're an average man? Okay, go get a job and you'll get a woman. Start a family. Buy a house with your single household income. And the best part, she wasn't a whore. This entire concept is gone due to multiple factors, a top-down control of society and the economic status of the world. But in its inception, we have to understand as a society that we were socially conditioned. Women initially were encouraged to work not because of the strong female empowerment movement, but because it's more taxable income. Average men are left behind because of the average woman's propensity to explore options and their inability to settle down. The women who are independent and boss bitches who took the career path, they're not winning. They were sold a lie and end up lonely, with pets to cope with their barren wombs. The most beautiful act a woman can do in her lifetime is bring another life into this world. According to a 2014 report from the CDC, women ages 40 to 59 have the highest rate of depression of any group based on age and gender in the United States, and it's only gotten worse. American women over 40 are the biggest antidepressant market on earth. There's clearly something wrong with our culture and quality of life to produce these effects. For a moment, forget the fact that the powers that be want to depopulate us, divide us, keep us depressed and alone with no familial presence. I say this all to say that a good portion of these issues stem from a lack of experience or knowledge on human intersexual dynamics. My main goal isn't to berate women on their preferences, no matter how delusional they might be. My real goal for this video is to explain my theory, the one that controversially enticed you to click on this video, the one that speaks to a level of your subconscious that you actually agree on. Women are like birds. The albatross, known for being the poster child of monogamy amongst birds, has also the longest lifespan at upwards of 50 years. This is something that is paralleled with humans. Married men and women on average live 2 years longer than their unmarried counterparts. But forget statistics for a moment. Take a flock of birds, comparable to a group of socially adjusted women. Approaching either of these is a delicate mission. Women, like birds, are at a heightened state of awareness and anxiety. There's tons of reasons why, and I won't get into all of them, but they typically fall into things like physiology and psychology. If you manage to sneeze by accident and scare one bird, by the time you open your eyes, they're all gone. You're on another rooftop somewhere, some bird's already dancing to get their attention, they're gone, you fucked up. Women are the same. Let's take a look at why. No, not why you sneezed. Maybe it's allergy season. You should have just held it in like a real man until your lungs exploded. Sounds harsh? Nobody cares about what average men have to deal with. Talking about why they all left. It's simple survivability, right? I mean, birds are frail. It only makes sense for them to fly at the sign of perceived danger. But why all of them? Why even the bird that was the farthest away taking flight? The answer is, again, survivability. Mirror neurons are a specific class of neurons that fire off when an individual executes an act and observes another individual performing the same or similar acts. First observed in monkey brains, birds, and now humans. I'm not overstating this. Women have higher activity in their mirror neuron system than men. This is the reason why women, when in their true nature, are associated with being caring and empathetic. Because of this higher mirror neuron activity, however, they are also more susceptible to groupthink and collectivist ideologies that can actually override their base nature. Let's get back to the controversial comparisons. Introducing yourself to a new flock of birds cautiously, as you should have picked up by now, there are cheat codes to essentially brute force your way into being accepted by this group. The key here is demonstrating you're not a threat. There are other easier methods like being gay and gaining their trust by showing complete disinterest in them sexually, but this other one is great because it drives the point I'm making so easily. Assuming you conveniently have a bird of your own, simply displaying this bird on your finger will change the dynamic completely. Suddenly it's, he's got a bird. There's something about him. I might perch up on his finger now. There's this sense of security about him. In fact, I wouldn't mind being his pet. You've effectively demonstrated social proof. You're inherently perceived as trustworthy because you managed to attract and retain the attention of another bird. Women are the same. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten success with a girl based mainly on the fact that I had been with another girl she knew. And honestly, at the core of it, females are fiercely competitive. This is common behavior observed by many people. It's like when you've been single for a while, no luck, managed to get a girlfriend, and bam, there's a flooding rush of interest. It's like your Bitcoin blowing up out of nowhere, and now everyone wants to get a piece of you, simply because you got a girlfriend. Say there's another group of birds, and you've got bread, a lot of it. So you bring a whole loaf to the park, or wherever you choose. You go and start breaking the bread. 9 whole grains, you're spreading up. They'll start coming. Not necessarily because it's safe or you gain their trust per se, but because of provisioning. This example is comparable to throwing money in a strip club. I mentioned earlier how women are more susceptible to groupthink and collectivist ideologies. This is something echoed in the culture that's currently cultivated. Music's influence on the mind is something powerful and not to be understated. The messages in the music promoted to female youth is narcissism and hypersexualization. Artists like Ice Spice, Cardi B, and Megan Thee Stallion promote this whore shit, where your most valuable asset is your masculine nature is demonized, and the fruits of the sexual liberation movement are in full effect. The current game plan for the sexually liberated woman is to trick men out of their money through deceit, sexually, or wherever way possible. Similar to the boss bitch career route, where they place their emphasis on the pursuit of money rather than a meaningful relationship. Kohlberg's theory of moral development comes to mind. A key takeaway from his postulations are that female development ends at a teenage age, which is why status is so important to them. There's truth to the idea that women develop more quickly than men. It's quite evident in our physiology and the way we're attracted to one another. Men typically value beauty and purity associated with youth, and women typically value status and ability to protect, which in men generally comes with age. Which is why it's so funny to me that people complain about age differences in legal age consenting adults, in which relationships emulate our natural attraction. It's just another example on how people tend to lean on collectivist ideologies for fear of being shunned from the pack. A great example of this being vaccination rates between the genders. On June 22nd, 2021, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention reported that nearly 9.5 million more women than men have been vaccinated in the United States. And in the 42 states that collect gender data, a greater share of women are getting the vaccine as well. The magnitude of the gender gap varies from state to state, but has hovered just below 10 percentage points on an average over the past month. Illustrated here is an updated graph with today's statistics and the trends still track. This illustrates the female propensity to follow the narrative. But beyond that, I think it illustrates something beautiful about female nature. Their willingness to fall in line and cooperate. It's funny that despite all these narratives, we could never really fight our true nature. Now, I know the controversial and clickbait style of the video has already riled up some people into placing me into one camp or another, which is completely expected. People who are collectivists tend to categorically box people into labels quickly and irrationally. I believe women are beautiful creatures designed by God, created as a helper to her husband, as the bearer of children, and as a keeper at home. The God-ordained and proper sphere of dominion for a wife is the household and that which is connected to the home. A father and husband is the head of his household, a family leader, provider, and protector.
Cause I'm a money getter, also a honey hitter. You think you nice as me? Haha, use a funny